today we are going to replace the shutter on an R6. The R6 is actually really cool camera. Unfortunately, we are getting an error 20 as soon as we turn it on. As you can see, we got the good old error 20. What that is just a bad shutter. We're going to turn it off. Anytime you work with electronics, you're definitely going to have to take out the memory card and the battery. We are going to get the shutter. This is the new shutter straight from Canon. Woo, yay. Pretty cool. Don't want to get too in depth with it, but yeah, this is a good old shutter unit. Today we will be using young screwdriver, plastic piece, so you can get all up in those leatherettes, and trusty curved tweezers, not the same tweezers you scrape light seals with. Let's get that right. Few things that are, you can see part of this. Yeah, took a little impact damage. First and foremost, let's go ahead and just dive into it. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for giving the time and day to watch me, handsome. That is my name. A chance. So first and foremost, we are going to take off the eyepiece cover. Man, y'all saw that magnet? That was kind of killer. All right, so one thing you want to do, that I do, is I put all my screws right here. And I just set it around, you know. I'll try to keep it in frame. Can't guarantee that because I'm trying to give y'all a full view of what I am doing. Another thing I like to do after I do that is go ahead and just, I know where the screws are, but we don't. So I like to take the leatherette off, go and put it right there next to it. There's more leatherette that you will need to peel right here. Let's take this battery door off as well. So let me show you how to take that battery door off. There is a lever right here that is spring loaded. And basically, you hit that lever. Ew, that was satisfying. And then you take it off. I'm no joke. I'm no joke, y'all. No joke. I'm going to set that over there. Oh, it's in frame. Look at that. That's killer, baby. There are some hidden screws. So you know what? Let's go ahead and start where all this hidden stuff is, okay? We have the R6 symbol right here. I like to use plastic or wood, because you have a less chance of scraping, scratching, damaging. You see how you can go under, you can go under right here and skigger. And if you look under that R6 symbol, oh my goodness, gee golly whiz, handsome, there is a screw. So I'd hate for you to try to do this on your own. You take all these other screws out and then you don't know where those screws are. You're going to be tugging and pulling, and then eventually you'll be breaking. And we do not like breaking things while fixing them. Another little hidden screw is going to be right here. You're going to go right up in there. See that? Right under that leatherette, there is a screw on that side frame that we are trying to remove. Let's go ahead and take these screws out. I like to keep them together, lined up somewhat. And to remember the orientation. You can even go as far as putting the screw on the sticky part of the R6 symbol. It's up to you though. Some people like to get the little mats with the little cubby thingies and all that. I don't know, I wasn't taught that way. I did try that though, and I did not like it. It didn't really help. You got one more screw right up in yonder. Deagle. Go ahead and get that out. Alright, now we're going to take out these little screws right here. They're pretty small. You should be able to depict where they go, hopefully. If not, then you shall be rewatching. I can only imagine if you don't, and you can go straight through my videos without rewinding. That's my goal. That would be my... Man, someone comments and says, I finally did it. Finally did it, handsome. That would just be amazing. But... So, don't forget you got your leatherette right there. So, give it a little... Don't pull on that too much, and then just pull out. Pull out. It is better if you pull out for humanity and yourself, because if not, you will damage these ports. And what those ports are is the mic, headphones, and the shutter release. Why they put a shutter release and they have Bluetooth? Maybe because people just like the feeling of the shutter release. You never know. All right, so we got that panel off. And what that does is that leaves us the availability to remove these screws holding in the screen. So let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. Boom, shakalaka. Be careful, there is another magnet, and sometimes these screws get a little screwy. Okay, so let's go forth with taking off the screen. We're going to go from the bottom now. The back panel. So you have 3 screws right here. Then you're going to have another screw right here. But I'm going to go ahead and just take that out for right now. Alright, so let's go to the viewfinder. You have 4 screws here in the viewfinder. And sometimes these screws are pretty tight, especially with some form of impact damage. The impact damage on this is very minimal, but you can see there and there's a gap, and then there's a little push. I mean, that alone, remember this stuff is plastic, yo. This one's tight too. Shouldn't put so much lotion on for y'all. Man, it's a little slippery. My mentor is telling me I don't wear lotion. Real men don't wear lotion. Yeah, okay. It's coming from a white guy, so there you go. Alright, now we're doing right over here. You remember, oh wait, that is upside down. So that's gonna go up there. It's gonna go down here. Alright, so now you can always check. Oh no, there's no screws, of course. So we're gonna get Young Plastic. Is that a rapper name? I can only assume nowadays. right, we're pulling up this leatherette, and we have 4 screws. Let's get these out. You heard that slip? Sometimes when you do that, it could be detrimental. Alrighty, so one thing I like to do is use this for some leverage to push, but you remember we took these screws out on this side. You're gonna have to give a little lift up on that end and a lift up right there, and then give a little pull, not too hard. This is where it gets a little tricky. LCD flex cable here, and this type of flex connector just sits in the groove. Boom. See how that sits in right there? You're gonna give a little push up, then you can pull apart. Boom, shakalaka. We have the viewfinder. Now, totally different than the good old mirrored cameras. But so the flex cables are kind of the same though. Love Canon's flex cable design because they use a lot of the set-in flex cables, as you will see here shortly. But the viewfinder is connected by a flex cable connector that has a flap. Now, I like to use, sometimes I use the plastic, sometimes I use, see how that just popped out? So you can just put a little leverage underneath it and slide it forward. So a lot of it is feel. A lot of repairing is all feeling. Like it literally is all feel. Like removing flex cables and such like that. It's really just feel. So you're going to get your tweezers. You're going to get right about in there, as you can see, and you're going to lift up just a tad. See how that slid out nice and easy? Then you're going to put the tweezers underneath and lift up. As you can see, that is the viewfinder. So we're going to set that with the viewfinder eye cup on top. Hopefully you can see a little bit of it in frame. Let's finish taking this bottom cover off first, because you can see right here the main board. So the shutter is going to be under the main board, and you're going to have to remove the main board and then the sensor, then the shutter. So to get to that, let's take this bottom plate off. First and foremost, good old leatherette removal. Favorite part of camera repair. There is going to be, you know what, you might as well just go ahead and take this off. That is going to be the easiest way to do it if it wasn't an R6. So you're gonna knock out a couple of these while you're doing this. So we already got that one, remember, taking off the back panel. Now you're gonna have one here. Let's go ahead and take that off really quick. So you can go ahead and start, because you know a lot of these are going to be silver, so I just go ahead and start another pile. Another thing that is hidden behind this leatherette, there is a screw underneath for the top cover. If you do not remove that, you will break the housing of that screw. That one's a little bigger, yeah, I mean, so let's go here and put that one there. You're gonna actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is there one? Or is that just the R? Let's see. Let's go ahead and take these. You remember this one went there, so you're going to take these 3. And you're going to put them over here because they're semi by these 3. This little piggy. Let's go ahead and remove softly. Yeah, that was pretty softly, pretty fluent. First tee, first try Fridays. Definitely not Friday. So, spirit fingers. So now you can see. Now, one thing you need to be very, very careful with is this switch right here. Right here. A lot of people damage that switch with the battery door or using those AC coupling things. That is very, very bad. That is a power indicator switch. So you're going to take the top cover screws, and they're actually different sizes. So they're actually a pain. We're going to go ahead and take off these flex cables. Now remember, this one is a latch. You're going to push that latch up. You can hit from the side, the top, or you can go under. That one I just like to go up top. And once again, my favorite flex cables, the set in. Oh, those, I wish all flex cables were like that. But they are not. We have 2 screws inside. You can see right here and right here. Biggie. Alright, so we're going to take those out, put them on top of the viewfinder. Then you're going to give a little wiggle, and boom, there is your top cover. All right, first and foremost, one thing that you start to do is you start undoing all these. We'll go ahead and start with the weirdest. With this red one, you're going to just push up and pull. And you can see how that sits in there, just like that. Then you are going to pull up on the black and yellow, and we're going to work our way down. So right here, this one is a little weird. I like to go along the sides because it hangs off past the connector. And then you can kind of pull down, and it just comes right back out. You know what I'm saying? Just like the yellow and black on this black and red, you're going to pull down. Alrighty, so on this one, it's a white latch instead of a black latch. Usually with these white latches, right dead in the middle, there is a slit. And in that slit, you are able to not damage the. Then I like to hit the sides, and then it just pops out like that. Pretty convenient. Then hit this one. Same way, you're going to go down on the sides because it hangs over. And once again, I believe this is a sensor connector, but our fave, it's just a push-in flex connector. Boom, my fave, baby. That's the easiest. Then we got the white top. And white tops, boy, what you know about them? Them Converse white tops. Boom. See, it's got a little thingy-mabobber there. Then we're going to push down on that one. Now we have a black latch. That's the name of my band. Boom. And then you're going to pull out, like always. Now, I'm gonna embed that in y'all's head. Y'all need to pull out, man. Softly though. That's another push down connector. Now you're gonna hang off the sides. Boom. All right, this is I call it the finger pointer connector, because it looked like it's pointing at you. Look that way. That way. No, Billy, that way. All right, so we have successfully pulled all of the connections off of the main PCB, and we are going to remove the PCB. So you have 3, 4, 5 screws. This one is smaller. And then guess what? On 4, it's a different size than all of them. So you really got to pay attention to orientation on here. And even though I have it set like this, it's the same orientation that this is. Does that make sense? So that's how my brain works. I don't know how yours works, but just food for thought. Or you can, I've seen techs literally just throw all their screws in a pile and they just know it. I guess after 40 years, I should be able to do that, you know? So after, remember, you got to be careful with this PCB. One thing you do need to make sure too is that your mat is grounded, because if not, you can do some damage. All right, so we are past the PCB. We are going to remove this casing, and you can see, and remember to take out this camouflage screw right there. You're going to set it in the orientation that you saw. So boom and boom. So now we are right there. I don't really remember. I think, let's see here. This is going to go there because I got to keep everything together. That's how my mind works. So what I did is I pulled here. You gotta be careful with these flex cables. You could actually use the plastic too if you don't want to use metal, which the tweezers are. So separating this from the frame we're about to remove will help you out tremendously. So make sure you're not pulling anything, and you're gonna take off this. Set this right here so all of that stays together, and you know we are almost to the shutter. We are going to have to take off this bottom frame right here. So let's remove this. All right, now we are able to remove these screws for the sensor. There's a screw here under this flex cable, a screw here, and a screw there. We're going to take those out. You used to have to mark you have to mark on the screw with the sensor how far you screwed down, because all of that mattered because of the mirror and then the sensors. I mean, it was crazy. One thing you can do is get you a Chemtech wipe. Then you're going to set it down for your sensor. And you're just going to lift up. And then bam, that's your little sensor with your IBIS. Sorry. All right, so now we're here at the shutter. We have made it. Okay, so we're going to remove, you have a screw here, here, in right there. Believe it or not. And in here. Alright, so we're going to remove these. Love that sound. It's actually... You're going to have to get the twisty tweezers out for this one. Alright, now we're going to remove the old shutter. Now you just have the frame. But one thing we are going to do before putting the new shutter in is we are going to mimic the curvatures of the flex cables. See, this goes up, so you want to push up a little bit, and you can see this has a little curve, so you hit the E-goop, and then this one hits the E-goop, and then you notice the yellow B on top, so you're going to give it a little E-goop. Alright. Now, one thing I like to do, because I have a lot of parts, I like to mark my parts, just so I know. Basically, you're just going to set her in. Remember, the 4 pieces are going to go in those corners and on the bottom. That beautiful sound. And the medium silver goes right here. We are in there like swimwear, you can see. So now we're going to work backwards. So now we are going to put the sensor back in. One thing about setting this sensor back in is not folding the flex cables. Like, if this flex cable sits in here and I don't catch it and I go all the way putting it back together, it will throw a new code, or it may not even turn on. But you make sure all of your flex cables are poking through, and then put them screws back in, boy. It was 3 screws. So boom, you got those in. This goes back in, remember? This is another one that you want to set in without. And remember, look at that. So I've already noticed, where did my black and red go down here? Hidden. So that has to pop out right there. I mean, literally, you cannot lose that. That is coming from the shutter. You want to get an Error 20 again? Hide that mofo. Make sure you're sat in. Boom, 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 boom. I just always keep checking for flex cables. You can tell that has happened before. I think to every tech it's happened. And if it hasn't, then kudos to you, my guy. Boom. Remember how that sits back down in there? This goes on before. Gotta check the flex cables always, constantly. One thing that it is very, very, very good to do. Boom. Now we are on the main PCB. Now this is what you will figure out really quick if you left any flex cables out, because you will run into ports that are, I guess you could say, empty per se. Let's start by putting our screws in. Remember, flex cables, flex cables, flex cables. Remember, look at all these sitting down. Look at all those. You can see how much of a pain they really, really are. And remember that switch block. We will find out. All right, let's put the screws in. We have set everything down. I just like to put them all back in. Sometimes I'll put a half in and then put it half together to see if it works, but that is not the safest thing to teach. That's after years and years of messing up. So boom, shakalaka. Remember, yellow was to the right. We're gonna go this way and in. Getting these pesky flex cables in is all feel, and just getting it in is the beginning. And then you can just wiggle. Don't put too much pressure. Just push it in. Make sure it's nice and snug. Now we're going to, and then we're going to insert. Make sure the latch, this is a white latch, so you got to be careful with these flex cables. You got to have the right amount of pressure or you will damage them, and then no electronic communication will get through. Boom. There's a little bitty guy right here. Just like to get it somewhat close. Come on now. There we go. See how she just slid up in there? Hopefully you did. You cannot really see. That is awesome. We're learning. Insert flex cable. That's the press in. See how easy that was? All right. So inserting the flex cable, boom. My fave, you're gonna line up when you press down, boom. And then so we got them all set, right? All right, so let's go ahead and put the bottom cover on, bottom plate. Be careful of that switch, like I was saying. That thing did not want to sit in, right? There we go, now we're in. Let's go ahead and throw this in here. So we got that in. Let's get these in really quick. Boom. To make it a little easier, let's go ahead and do the top cover. Just for convenience sake, and remember above the viewfinder we put these guys. Let's go ahead and throw them two in. Let's do this screw that we know for sure goes up here. Gotta get that clean, baby. Should do that in the beginning. I'm fired. So let's do young push down flex cable. We are digger. Shout out to Danny Go. Keeps my kids happy and learning. Alright, boom. Now we're sitting up in there and we close. Viewfinder. I would clean it before you put it in, but it's okay. Go and get that up. But boom. Set it up in there. Grab the flex. And you are going to insert. Make sure it is seated properly. You'll hear a little clicky clicky. Boom. Push that up in there. Then we are going to put these pieces in. Right. Next is going to be the LCD. Remember, this is a push-in flex cable, so you want to just line it up in on top of where it needs to, and then just push in. I know I make it sound simple. It is simple. Leatherette kind of gets cut. Remember, you use this, and that sits in here. So we are pushing it to the limit. And one thing, if you want to do, I'm pretty confident in my skills. So let's give it a good old test. A Rooney. Uh-oh. You heard the shutter. Oh my gosh. We are pretty good. Let's go ahead and see here. It'll let us snap a photo. Oh, no, error 20. Let's do this. This is what it was doing earlier. No, error 20. Error 20 is gone, baby. All right, let's reassemble. Battery always out. Now we are going to go down the line. So that is how you change the shutter in an R6. It's not that bad. Hopefully it was a little enjoyable for you. Of course, once you get done putting all the screws back and so forth and such, you gotta scrub it. I mean, if it's for a customer, you have to. But if it's not a customer and you're just doing your own, you can do what you want. I don't know. Some people like shooting dirty cameras, you know what I mean? And then they wait 6 years, bring it in, like, hey, handsome, will you clean my camera? And I'm like, yeah, it'll be an extra charge for makeup removal and dirt removal and all that good stuff, you know? Throw this in there for the LCD. You down with LCD? Yeah, you know me. Oh, man. Mirrorless cameras are the bomb, baby. If this was a 5D Mark IV, this video would be like twice as long because of the soldering and the measuring of the sensor from the mirror box and all that madness. But this, my friend, is just awesome for camera repair because it's easy, it's fast, quick. And honestly, I believe any person can call Canon Parts and order a shutter. Now, it'll be substantially more expensive with Oh, you know what? I didn't even explain about the diopter. So this is a diopter. The diopter is what moves the viewfinder back and forth to plus and negative with your eye and stuff. But the way you set it in, one side is bigger than the other, and then basically just fit it in there just like that. Maybe I'll catch y'all next time on the next video to break down a diopter or replacing diopter, you know, whether it may be that or anything else I shall be showing. Ooh-wee, handsome. What about them top screws? No screws left behind. I'm telling you. No screws left behind. That's how we have to roll. Ooh, about to go. I was just about to start throwing her up in there. But I need to tell y'all, remember in the beginning I was telling y'all about these screws. Now, don't want to put them screws not in there thinking just throwing that up in there like that real fast. Now, you hear me? Pull back that long leatherette right there. Here you go. All right. And then you got little Heidi over here. Yeah, that's a bad dad joke. That leather right there. And bam, we are all back together. No screw left behind, and I ain't no joke. Subscribe, watch again, send to somebody and say, hey, or if you're on Reddit and you seeing somebody saying, what is Error 20? Boom, send them this video. Yeah, I mean, and stay positive, stay focused, and most of all, stay wise.